The following is a summary with quotes and commentary of What I Believe by Leo Tolstoy. The ancient Israelites developed their culture and laws around the commandments of Moses. Jesus' main philosophical message in the sense of how mankind should live would upend these commandments. The Mosaic Law allows a path of retribution in the actions of men. As described in the Old Testament, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Exodus 21:24. Carrying out punishment is the only thing a mortal human judge could possibly bestow upon his fellow man, as he has no ability to save. If you cannot offer salvation, what right do you have to be a judge? To be a judge is to transgress against the way of the Father. Therefore, Jesus imposed a new commandment onto the ancient law. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Matthew 5:38-39. Is it even possible for humanity to accept violence without reciprocating it? A man may not love his enemy and may have a neutral interaction with them. Do we have to love our enemies? Neighbor in the gospel places a stranger in opposition to a countryman. Enemy is also used in the collective sense as an enemy of the Hebrew state. Christ speaks to the interrelationship of everyone all at once, fellow man without distinctions. We have grown very used to admiration of the sword, despite what divine messages we have been given. We were taught that vengeance is a base instinct, resulting in our perpetuating evil in the world. What would the world be like if we were to fulfill the doctrine of Christ? Where peace among all men is the highest earthly bliss that men can ever hope to attain. No man should ever take a vow, so that there be no risk in breaking the sacred vow we have with the Father. Reason should not command, but only enlighten, for reason without divine guidance will quickly obsess over the fear of death. In fear of death, the works of man focus on the betterment of life for the individual, ignoring the benefit of all others. In such we beget further evil. Religion reveals the meaning of life, and science applies this meaning to the various stages in life. Science and philosophy address everything except the one important point, how man may be able to improve his condition and lead a better life. Man's entire history is an attempt to solve the contradictions between his reason and his animal nature. Man has no need to strive to better himself. Man should only strive to fulfill the will of the Father on earth. All other types of endeavors come from our fearful state and prove to be ultimately useless, godless, and will lead to eventual death in every possibility. Those comfortable will argue against this, saying that the teaching of the gospel is impracticable, that it makes life unbearable, but there is no right of man to a life of pure bliss. The doctrine of Jesus Christ is impracticable to us now because Adam sinned. This beginning of sin brought evil into the world, which only begets more evil. However man may try, he cannot add 1 hour to his life. But a natural, reasonable response fueled by the fear of death will cause him to build up riches and property in this life. Death attends us every second, and though as you may try, will destroy all you work for. Thus, life for self can never have any meaning. There must be a different meaning of life where the goal is not to seek improvement of one's future, as it will inevitably lead to death. We must live in a way where death cannot destroy our life. The shadow of life is the individual. It is foolish to think that your life is your own and does not affect the life of others. All blessings of life are entrusted and therefore expected to be transferred or given up. The man that lives for himself deprives himself of life, thus he destroys his life while trying to save. To think that eternal bliss or eternal punishment is the reward or punishment for good and evil deeds does not coincide with Christ's doctrine. The heaven described to us by the church was never taught by Jesus. Jesus preaches of the Father's will in this life, not the eternal life or reward of the individual. Despite what changes the church may have made since, Jesus spoke as if this life will naturally end and that we will live through our deeds. The church preaches we live an imperfect life by design, that we could only pray for divine inspiration and strive to be Christ-like. This is only a justification. We can only be saved from individual suffering by making life a ministry not to ourselves but to the will of the Father. In this way, all of mankind can be saved.